Everybody comfortable?
Yeah.
Get your ass up when I'm talking.
Hey, take it easy.
It's showtime. It's showtime. Yeah. Feel the magic and soul of the YBs. Yeah.
Welcome to the show. Take two.
All right, it's time for That Davis Show with Ryan B. Ski. Ryan Bukovetsky. He's the executive producer, but he's basically the co-host. He's working his damn way to that. I'm Kenneth Davis. I'm your host. Follow me at That Davis and follow him at Ryan B. Ski and Ryan B. Ski 1. This is our little Monday morning quarterback. All right.
Football in your face.
All right, so we basically break down a few games. Of course, we're going to do the local game, which sucked. But also some of the other games that took place on Football Sunday on this Monday. So do you want to lead off with our team, or do you want to say that for later, Ryan?
No, let's get the ugly out of the way first.
All right, so as you know, we went over to our former buddy on this show, co-host, Demaz's wonderful place, and enjoyed some social distancing outside to watch the game yesterday, which was definitely fun. Shout out to Demaz for inviting everybody over there. It was definitely a great time. But unfortunately, the product as far as the game was not a great game. It was the one of the worst Matt Nagy games that I've seen. And now I'm sure it's a myriad of reasons involving him playing someone that's used to his system, coming from Andy Reid's coaching tree with Frank Wright, Doug Peterson. And these guys are more seasoned than Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy was only offensive coordinator briefly for Andy Reid, and we still don't even know towards the end of the season or during the playoffs if Andy Reid seated play calling back from Matt Nagy. But this game right here, to me, was Matt Nagy caught in a conundrum and not knowing how to either adapt or stick to the script. And when I mean stick to the script, I mean stick to the fundamentals. They did not run the ball. Really, they ran the ball maybe 16 times. We're talking about such a low-scoring game as the Bears had with the Colts. The Colts won by 8 points, 19-11. But basically, it was 13-3 for a large majority of the game. There was no reason for the Bears to get away from the running game. And I'll tell you another thing too. Towards the end of that, middle end of that game, there was no reason for the Colts to get away from running the ball. Like if the Colts would have just ran the ball, this game would have been closer to 30 points to 11. If the Bears may not have scored 11 because of time of possession, but the Colts getting away from the run, to me, left the Bears, when it comes to how many points are on the scorecard, it left the scoreboard is what I meant to say. It left the Bears looking like they still had a chance, but we knew from how hard they got punched in their mouth, because this was like you got punched in the teeth, and after you got hit, you felt like, ooh, my lip is swelling. You ever get punched and your lip hits the tooth, and you start he's like, that bad boy is swelling up, right? And their reaction was like they kept holding their mouth instead of starting to do like this.
Lay it down.
Right? Like, of course, you'd be like, damn, but then you got to start reacting. And to me, defense did a good job. I still think there's questions about Chuck Pagano as a defensive coordinator, but that is not by any means the big issue right here. I still have questions about the Bears running back. I was listening to a friend of the show, Lawrence Holmes' show, and I really don't try to like jack anything, and I'm not, because I've always said this about David Montgomery. I don't think he has the vision. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think I didn't hear Lawrence say that, but Lawrence was saying today that, the bill of goods we were sold on and we haven't seen come to fruition. And I think that's facts when it comes to David Montgomery. This year I was hoping he was going to be one of those guys where his freshman year he got thrown in there, and what we was really going to see in the sophomore year was like, yeah, I really got this. And I still don't see it. But again, he's not even the main point because they didn't even run the ball enough in the first place. I said they should bring another running back in. We know Lamar Miller's on the practice squad. They should have had another running back in here anyway. Be interesting to see how they use him. But Matt Nagy, he got caught in a situation where, one, Nick Foles wasn't necessarily on point. Now, I don't know this. Nick Foles may not have been on point, one, because he hasn't been getting rep with these players, right? And also, these players may not know when they're breaking let me put it like this. If there are options on the play or on the route is what I should say. they may know that, you know what, Mitch prefers if I go this way instead of, just reading it flat for what it is. Or maybe they are reading it flat for what it is, and it's not the tendency that Nick Foles necessarily has as far as where he would prefer you to go on the play, as long as there's no other defender on either way the receiver breaks. But I think some of it was reps when it comes to Nick Foles. And I don't think Nick Foles is a world beater by any means, but I definitely think some of it had to do with reps when it comes to Nick Foles. But Matt Nagy, to me, who I've had an affinity for, he wet the bed with this one. And that there was no adaptation when it comes to, okay, this is what the Colts defense is doing. This is what necessarily I need to do better. We all know, I hate to say Charles Leno had a bad game. And I know the offensive line hasn't been bad, but they haven't really played anybody. Like, this has been the best defense that they basically played. I don't think it's been the best offense. I think Atlanta was the best offense. Atlanta just couldn't stop anything, and then Atlanta crazily abandoned the run too, which was crazy.
Go figure. Atlanta?
Hill, right? I know, right? It's kind of the calling card. You had Hill and you had Gurley basically killing, and once you had scored that many points, all you had to do was sit there and run the clock out. But I do think this was the best defense they faced, and this defense smacked them in the mouth and knew their tendencies from their coach, also knowing what Nagy wants to do, probably to a certain degree better than Nagy. If I see another jet sweep, I see another ending around, I'm going to not watch another one of these bad boys for the rest of the year. It's getting to the point where you're not fooling. Like, he's not fooling. He wasn't fooling anybody with some of this stuff last year. Like, that's the part where it's like, I thought we were adapting. Like, listen, stick to the run. You have to run 25 to 30 times, especially in a close game. And listen, if the Bears go down 30-0, and you still got to run it, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Just to alleviate some of it, give your quarterback a breather. You go down 30-0, I understand you being like, man, we're going shotgun. Listen, this is an air attack. We got to get back in this game. The game was nowhere near like that. You got a guy that this is his first start for your team. Like, I think that's another thing, too, talking about Nick Foles. Because of last week, I think in our heads we think, like, yeah, like, he started that game. No, this is his first start. That was his first week as far as being the ordained Bears starter for the entire week since he's been here, right? He's been on the practice squad showing looks that the opponent for that upcoming week is going to give the Bears defense. That's what he's been doing. He hasn't been necessarily practicing Matt Nagy's offense. All these since training camp ended. So again, to me, it was a bad Matt Nagy game. And I got love for Matt, but I was displeased to say the least with that one. How did you feel watching that game, Rob?
I got a quick checklist, and a lot of them are going to be about some of the points that you said. Abandoning the run, Matt Nagy having a horrible day. That was one of my first thoughts at the end of that game. Arguably the worst game I've seen from him as Bears head coach. It reminded me of Philly last year when they got absolutely smoked in Philadelphia, and it looked absolutely terrible. Oh, yeah. You can throw 2 SIGs on there because that's 2 worthy.
Oh, that was not a SIG, son.
Oh, okay.
There's no squares.
Get your mind out of the gutter after watching those cigars on Sunday in D's tent.
There's no SIGs.
Number 2, I thought the same thing with Dave Montgomery. I'm like, this guy's just a dude. He really is just a guy. Like, maybe with another back as a tandem, they'd be really good.
Or
maybe.
with a great offensive line. Like,
yeah.
Like top
like
flight.
the Colts offensive line.
Yes.
Like, having that offensive line, Dave Montgomery would look a lot better, and he'd look pretty good. But you traded up for a guy you really probably shouldn't have traded up for.
Mm-hmm.
I also thought the same thing with Chuck Pagano. That, man, like, I think the big thing from keeping this defense from being elite might be Chucky. It just might be schematically, they're just kind of too simple, too plain, and I just find it so hard to believe, oh, we lost Eddie Goldman, we can't stop the run anymore. And, like, they did some things better, but, man, you saw the war of attrition right there. Like, that's textbook if a coach wanted to show that in film. This is how, if we run it a lot early and often, they're going to be not able to tackle us here in the 3rd and 4th quarter. Mm-hmm. And that's what it looked like to me. The other thing, like Nick Foles, whatever, he looked basically like Mitch, but I thought he was still better than Mitch.
He looked better than Mitch. He looked
Yeah.
like listen.
You saw the inaccuracy and
Yeah.
all those little
He
things, but
definitely-
he could still push the ball.
He definitely almost got Robinson killed. All right, which when
Yes.
sitting at D's crib, and I'm like, whoa, dude, you cannot do that to him. All right, and he doesn't.
Man, that ball came out so late.
And he doesn't have his
Felt-
bread. Hey, listen, don't do me like that, and I don't have my bread. You know what I'm saying? Now, if it's fresh
Right.
ink, if it's fresh ink on there / Tariq Cohen, yeah, all right.
Right.
You know, but the ink is dried. You know what I'm saying? The money's basically in the bank, but you can't leave me out there like that. And I'm trying to get this. This could be my last really big check. This is probably Allen Robinson's last huge check. Like if this is for another 4 years, yeah, he'll get more money. But as far as being a second tier I would say top second tier receiver, he's not going to probably be able to get that. I mean, again, I don't know if the Bears are going to sign him, but whoever signs him, he's going to get a decent amount of money. But yeah, you're right. That one, he didn't look right. You know, Joe was over there, and he was talking about the Harris break off the left seam by the end zone, and he went left. He went right instead of left, and it was a terrible, inaccurate pass by Foles. And the thing that he brought up, and he played cornerback for Butler, was that it was probably an option route from how outside Foles threw the ball, like at the top of that tree that he was supposed to break. He had the option to break left or right. You know what I'm saying? And he broke in left or whatever, which may not be right or whatever, but it made a lot of sense. But again, that goes to reps and familiarity. You know what I'm saying?
And, you know, to piggyback off that, there was a play, I forgot when exactly, but Nick Foles came to the line, he killed it, and then David Montgomery went out for a pass.
Oh, I
after
totally
the
saw it.
play.
He thought he was
And
behind
he
him.
thought he was going to hand it off. Like,
Right.
clearly Nick
Right.
is behind in this playbook. You saw
Right.
many examples of that. So I completely buy that theory that Joe has. But, you know, another thing I thought of real quick with this Bears game, I actually thought of D because of Phillip Rivers, because of how much we buried
brought him
He
up.
would always say,
He was like, I
the
said he should be here
Bears.
Listen, he would be getting killed by this offensive.
I agree, but hold on.
Uh-huh.
What made me it was this line of events of thinking. It was like, oh man, Phillip Rivers, he must be talking about how he likes Phillip Rivers. Man, maybe he was better to get than whatever. Maybe not, but you know what? Ryan Pace compared to Chris Ballard hasn't done shit. Oh, wait a minute. Let's look at this team. Chris Ballard has built a winner, a legit playoff team in what? Half the time that Ryan Pace has?
After his quarterback
winner?
early retired on him.
Right. Andrew Luck. You ever heard of him?
Right.
My goodness. And he's still building a playoff team.
Right.
And Ryan Pace, we're short at running back. There's no number 2 wide receiver. You got Anthony Miller dropping it into interceptions every
it's
week.
Over. It's
that
over
tight
for
end
that.
room is garbage. He loves Chuck Leno. Like, I just kept thinking of all these thoughts like, man, Ryan Pace is terrible.
Dude, all right. I think I like the tight ends room. I like the tight end room, like I told you, and you had hate for it at the beginning of the season. I think, and this goes back to Matt Nagy. You're underutilizing this tight end for everyone. And again, if you were upset about the money with Jimmy Graham, okay. But see, the thing is, we don't know what another team was offering them as far as bringing in Jimmy Graham with a better situation. So the money could have been similar, but another team could have been on the precipice. Like, dude, we need you to be our second tight end. We're in the championship win. Like, we're on the championship, not a Bears coming off an 8-8 disappointing season, right? And even though he got to stay in the division since he was playing for the Pack, Jimmy Graham is better than what we expected. All we kept hearing was, man, if we really had a U tight end, man, if we really had a U, then use your U, all right? Like, take it of having your U. You have more options than just Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney, and Anthony Miller. You have a U tight end, and then you have your inline blocker who also get out with Cole Kmet. And again, I understand Cole Kmet is a rookie, and he may not be ready to set up and know the playbook, even though, you know, what we're hearing in training camp was that he was getting acclimated to the playbook really quick to be a rookie.
Seamlessly. Yeah,
and went to a smart person school at ND. You know what I'm saying? You can't be an idiot necessarily and get in there as a football player for the most part. So, again, either you're not using it, you don't know how to use it, or when you're playing with someone who has an inkling about what you're trying to do, you don't know how to adapt and come up with different ways of how to use it. And that's all falls on Nagy. And again, I got love for Matt Nagy, but That was a terrible Matt Nagy game. I mean, terrible, horrible. All right, like.
And I am officially jumped off the Ryan Pace boat. I'm on the edge with Matt Nagy boat.
Whoa. The boat is always Ryan Pace. Because Ryan Pace, listen, you brought up David Montgomery, right? So he also gave up the trade capital to where you may have been able to get you a running back in the bottom of the first, a better running back at the bottom of the first. He brought you Mitch. He bought you Leonard Fournette. He bought you White. Like
Lloyd.
Exactly. Like if we go through, if even the guys that we're saying the first round picks, let's say he went half and half. And also, I'll tell you this. I'm not saying he's a bust. I'm not feeling Roquan Smith. I'm just being honest with you. For that,
I think he's a solid inside linebacker, not a top 10 draft.
That's all I'm saying. Listen, he better be an edge rusher or he better be a weak side linebacker.
Yeah, Patrick Willis.
I was going to say in a regular cover 2 where we're funneling everything his way. So he better be a tackling machine. But as we're talking about interior linebackers in a 3-4, a primary 3-4, even though we basically know you're in a nickel and everything, your sub packages a lot, but still he's supposed to be a killer. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not seeing a killer. And this is another key point. He's supposed to be like a beast in coverage. That we were sold that, you know what, he can do everything. But man, in this new NFL with all this passing, and again, he's good, but he's not great. Eddie Jackson. He's really good. Sometimes he's not great. I'll tell you this. Cal Fuller is killing this year. All right? Cal Fuller, and we know every cornerback gets beat. The best corner's actually playing. All right?
Right.
A rookie.
Oh, Kyle Fuller, the last really good the last good first-round pick.
Yeah.
Phil Embry. Not Ramsey.
Yeah, but look, Cal Fuller, dude, listen, if Cal Fuller didn't hit the heels of Hines is in the end zone right now while we're talking, right? Like, and I'm not even talking about the coverage plays that Cal Fuller did. I'm talking, and I know he sat there and he had a bad penalty or two, but I'm talking about Cal Fuller is out there. We heard his train, but Cal Fuller is out there balling, man.
Yeah, he is.
And Jalen Johnson.
If you don't think so, you ain't watching.
Right, and Jalen Johnson to be a rookie is playing very, very well to be a rookie, and you're the
no preseason abbreviated training camp.
Great point. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think Eddie Jackson is playing terrible. And listen, Gibson played better. I don't trust Gibson. He had a better game this game than the last game. So I think the DBs are playing straight, but I don't know what you're getting from your interior linebackers. Your edge rush.
Do we have one?
And dude, people think.
Stop me if I'm wrong, but I thought if we have Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks healthy at the same time, we'd have a consistent pass rush.
Not if you don't have Eddie Goldman pushing that pocket. Listen,
and apparently having another guy on the edge doesn't matter, and Robert Quinn.
Right, dude. It made no sense, right? When Eddie Goldman decided that he was not going to play, you had to do something to get a C+ player into that position. Now, I don't know if that's Jenkins with the age that he had at this point. I think you could have got in here. It should have been someone else that you brought in here. Dude, I don't even care if he can. Most of the times you're not getting – people aren't Aaron Donald, and we're not even looking for Aaron Donald. You're looking for a guy to take on 2 from that nose tackle position, primarily in the 3-4. And if he can penetrate and push the pocket, it's gravy. But you needed to do that for this defense because that's what you keep – that's why they're running through you. There's nobody covering and helping those 2 inside linebackers, but those 2 inside linebackers should still be playing better than this.
The only thing I'd argue to you, because you're completely right, that's Ryan Pace's MO. Every year, let's go into the season short somewhere that it's obvious that this is going to be a problem. Like, the only reason I'm starting to believe 2018 worked out is because their obvious need, which was edge rusher, that was supposed to be Leonard Floyd's coming out year, they got Khalil Mack.
Right.
But then what was the problem the next year? He's always left his team short. We knew going into this year, you got to rework those trenches on the offensive side of the ball. He didn't really do anything except sign Jermaine Ifedi, which was a good pickup, but that's a guard. You had tackle problems. How do you solve your tackle problems if you don't bring in more tackles?
When we keep saying
and then like you just said, Eddie Goldman gone. Why aren't you bringing in somebody that really can be a nose tackle instead of let's move Bilal Nichols over?
Listen, you're hurting Bilal Nichols doing that.
Right.
You wonder what's he gonna look like moving back to the 5 technique with this little bit of belly fat he had to put on to try to play this position. And you know it's not good weight because he ain't find out till what? June, July?
Yeah, July.
He wasn't preparing this whole offseason. I meant from last winter to play nose tackle. Right? Think about this. Think about what Bilal Nichols was doing to prepare. I'm sure he was getting in shape, toning up, getting ready, looking at playing the 5 technique. But he's kind of a hybrid with the 5 technique a little because he's not one of these guys that's like Akeem Hicks, with this all power, or even Roy Robinson Harris, who's power and tall as you know what. He's kind of a guy that's got power, but also trying to slip and use speed too. You know what I'm saying? And kind of like a guy that I would say would probably play the 2 technique if you were if you had a 4-down lineman. You know what I'm saying? Like he would be the guy that he's trying to shoot the gap more than trying to take on the blocks for the most part. You know what I'm saying? And now you put this little belly fat on him, and you like, man, you gotta hold the fort and sit there and set it. And it's like, dude, that's not who I am. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like how before Lovey got here, they put all that weight on Alex Brown. You know what I'm saying? Because they was looking for their edge, the guys on the edge, to be stout on the run rather than them being guys that are getting up trying to get to the quarterback. And then when Lovey got here, it was like, nah, Shorty, you got to lose that weight that they told you to put on. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of the same way when you look at Bilal Nichols, what you're asking him to do. And all you had to do, dude, I wouldn't have been mad for you send a 3rd rounder for somebody's old ass.
You sent a 4th rounder and $20 million for Nick Foles. Go ahead and send it. You love sending them.
If this season was what it was supposed to be. So listen, and the fact, and I'm not saying that Snack Harrison is the end all be all, but you should have had him in the building. I mean, I don't mean to have him in the building. You should have had him signed when you were 3-0 too. Like, so this wasn't a thing where you guys are like 1-3 right now. I'm saying that as of today when they're 3-1. 1-3.
Even though they should be.
Yeah, but hey, they're not. They're not. You know what? At the end of the year, depending on how the season ends, people aren't going to remember it that way because last year wasn't an 8-8 season. I mean, we looked at that Dallas game like, man, this is a giveaway game. Anyway. Yeah. It was a 7-win season, if that. But still, when the record is shown, Matt Nagy still hasn't had a losing season yet.
Well, guess what? This is my prediction. First quarter, as Lovie Smith would say, A+. We knew it would be with the Lions and Giants. This second quarter, they're going to show their ass. And they are going to be who we think they are or who we thought they were, a la Denny Green, rest in peace. So, starting with this Buccaneers team, we'll talk about it on Nance Davis show. Man, they are going to show their ass to us, and I hope ownership is watching and listening.
I think it's still early if you think anybody's really on the hot seat after this season. They will have to have a cataclysmic collapse.
Hey, what if you get embarrassed against the Buccaneers and you have a few more embarrassing shows and then you finish like 6-10?
Oh, you're in some trouble. But see, the thing is, I'll say this much. They still, and I know it's now 2 years away, they still had that 12-4 season. See, like the thing with like Phil Emery and Trestman, it's like they were average the first season and then the second. So they went from 8, because they won 8-8 that first year, right? Trestman's first year?
I think they went 9-7, tied with the Packers, but the Packers won the division because of or they went 8-8 and could have won.
I think they went 8-8 that year. And so, and the offense looked better. So we were like, okay. But remember, they took all the money off the defense and tried to put it on the offense with Jay Cutler, who you can't trust. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, but the only thing I would say to that is they gave Pace 4 years to rebuild. That wasn't rebuilding with Trestman and Emery. They were supposed to win now.
I'm not arguing. I'm just still telling you that they brought some equity with that first season of Matt Nagy. That's all I'm saying. They bought some equity. You know what I'm saying? They did.
Man, that equity has got to – like, I get why Matt Nagy has equity. I don't understand. If Ryan Pace, 1 winning season in 7, if they don't win this year, like, come on. What are we talking about here?
Well, you got to look at it as 2 not losing seasons in 7.
No, you either have a winning season or a losing season. 8-8 is nothing. That's
I don't see it. See, I think also they look at the fact of it's always like this when you're getting rid of a general manager and not a head coach, because you know the next general manager is going to replace him unless you find somebody that Matt Nagy has some connection to. But also, to be honest with you, and I hate to say that, Matt Nagy is teetering on he can go with Ryan Pace if he doesn't improve his play calling this year.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's not special.
I mean,
if he's not special, there's no reason to hold on to him if he's not special.
he's supposed to be an offensive guru. 3 points for basically all that game until garbage time against a legitimate playoff team. Like, that's okay when you're on the upswing of a rebuild. That's not okay when you go 12-4 and you're trying to get back to being a Super Bowl contender.
Right. That was that dude. It was that was a terrible Bears game. I mean, that was especially because the score looked like, and at points it was like, you know what the Bears can do, the fourth quarter, maybe they got a chance, but they were getting smashed in their face so much you knew that score really didn't tell the truth about the story. It wasn't telling the total story in its totality. Man, that was.
It's only because there's talent on that defense. That's it.
Yeah, I was about to say the defense played well. But the knocks on Chuck Pagano is I don't know if he can accentuate their strengths is the problem with Chuck Pagano.
Right.
I don't know if he can accentuate their strengths. But I will say this. With the fact that they weren't scoring, it puts you back in Mitchville as far as Chuck's quote-unquote strength of sending the kitchen sink or exotic blitzes. Let me say, because sending the kitchen sink is cheap because you're just like, I'm just sending everybody. But a guy that's supposed to have exotic blitzes, and if you're still worried about if I send some guys and we get beat and we can't score and we're only down by 10 and we can't score, if I do something and we're down by 20, I mean, we're down by 17, man, we're really in some trouble, right? So there's some questions to me as far as Chuck Pagano as the defensive coordinator of this team. It just is, man. Because, I mean, and even in some ways what makes it worse is that's where so much money is on this football team. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and it's aging.
Yeah, and so you got all this money on there on that defensive side, and it doesn't seem like you have someone who can fully take advantage of the talents that those players have on that defensive side. It's not that the defense hasn't been playing well, but they're not playing to the level that we would think. But again, you're outside. You're on the field a lot when your team's getting in and outs. You know what I'm saying? You're tired. You're getting exposed. So it's not all on Chuck Pagano. The offense and their head coach are leaving them out there bad too.
I mean, when you hold the team under 20, what else can you expect?
Right. I mean, to say the least. So, again, I think the defense had a good game, but I think the defense can play even better than
It's still a letdown, even though it was a good game.
I totally agree. So where you want to go next? Who you want to go with?
Dallas. I want to go Dallas.
As Ryan mentioned on Wednesdays, that Davis show, we're definitely going to preview Bears versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in which will be a bludgeoning, to say the least. If Philip Rivers got you like that, imagine what Tom Brady's going to do. All right? Like, oh, my goodness. Listen, that defense better be special. You better get 2 pick sixes if you're going to try to stop if you're trying to.
For real.
Listen, you better hope, and I don't want to put this on anybody. You better hope that ankle by Mike Evans is stiff and that Godwin is still in concussion protocol, because you guys are going to have a long day right there.
Can any defenders go on injury for the Bears offense? That's what they really need.
Yeah, great point. But, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was watching that Dallas-Cleveland game, and I couldn't help but laugh because I love when Dallas – the overrated Cowboys get picked by everybody, and I wanted to send how they were going to get smoked again, but I did better because I knew I'd get it from you. And except for, a couple second halves? Like, they're the Bears. They're terrible in the first half. They can't score anything. This defense is not like the Bears because they're trash.
Yeah,
like,
it's really their defense, though, right?
They can't – right, it is.
It's
but
really
even
their defense.
That offense isn't scoring until the second half.
Okay. And who's the head coach? And I know that
people were picking them to go to the Super Bowl. They did
that last way. If you listen, the same idiots that picked them last year to go to the Super Bowl had them at least making the playoffs this year. And common sense tells you to stay away from the Cowboys unless, like me, you take Dak to be your quarterback. And I don't even trust Dak, but I knew he was going to put up some points this year. Garbage time or not. Out of 4 games.
Oh, the Matt Stafford of the NFC East.
Dude, 3 of these games, he's put up 40 points for me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do crazy. I'm gonna take Dak, right? Hey, listen, and now listen. This is my thought process, Ryan. They're gonna be bad, but guess what? They're gonna score that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. He's gonna throw enough interceptions that garbage time is gonna be air it out, baby. Matt Stafford all over.
So yeah, I think the Matt Stafford analogy is pretty good. Listen, but also look at the way that the Browns and this is Stefanski being wise enough to sit there and not just go let Baker do Baker and how to trick.
Hey, Hub's guy is on your ass right now.
Right.
He's flying up the chain.
Josh Allen is still doing his thing.
Yes, he is.
See me at Josh Allen.
If he goes south at all, Baker's right back in the race.
Listen, Baker got a Super Bowl talent on both sides of the ball, basically, around him, like especially on offense. And I know that Nick Chubb went out and is going to be gone for at least a few weeks with the MCL. But they right behind them.
Man, that looks scary, by the way.
Right, think about here goes Kareem Hunt. Oh, and Nick Chubb's out. Here goes Kareem Hunt. Guess what Kareem Hunt just did? Kareem Hunt got in the game and just killed dudes.
They got 300 yards rushing as a team.
Oh, come
that
on.
Johnson kid comes in and starts running all over the place.
Even when people sit there, and I had to say this today on Sean and Maya's show, man, Khalil Mack is getting held. And I think Khalil Mack gets held a lot. You don't think Myles Garrett get held? Well, you know what Myles Garrett do? F him up. Right? Like you still got to do, like, you don't think Khalil Mack was getting held in 2018 when he was sitting there playing for the Bears? Dude, right. Some of this is you got to be special again. You know what I'm saying? But getting back to this Browns team, dog, they got all this talent on this team. But listen, they brought in a head coach that knew to pull Baker back. You know what I'm saying? Like the pass from Landry to Odell Beckham, you know what I'm saying? To just to get the points on the board. Because if we get enough points, then we can kind of start letting Baker do his thing but still stick to the run game. But this all just like let Baker as his playmaker and let him do his thing. They've come to the realization that that's not the quarterback that they drafted. Which, again, is smart.
Yeah. Right now he's doing it.
I don't trust either one of these teams, really, when
No, but Cleveland at least makes some sense to me because Baker's playing like Baker Mayfield in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
This Cowboys team, they're the same as ever. They lose big games. They don't score early. They only make it close at the end. And their defense, like without, I guess, Sean Lee and Leighton Vander Esch, you just file them.
That's really what it is, right?
That's the only thing that's missing. What's different?
The defense was bad last year.
Hey, there's a lot of money on that defense.
It is. But the defense, the linebackers were exposed last. Vander Esch and Smith were exposed last year.
Yeah,
After all that hype in 2018 about, man, look at these linebackers. They were exposed last year. But I'll say this. I have more faith still in the Cowboys making the playoffs than the Browns.
Oh, well, that's unfair. They're in a terrible division.
That's my entire point. That
is not fair.
Listen, you sit there, you still have the Baltimore Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you can still lose a game to Joe Burrow's Bengals. You know what I'm saying?
Aren't the Cowboys tied for second right now at 1-3?
Yes. But
what is their payroll compared to these other teams?
I'm with you, dude.
Like the Eagles probably have a steady payroll, but my God, they're in first place.
Look, but they're 1-2-1 though, Ryan, in first place. How sorry.
Hey, they beat them last year when their sorry asses shouldn't even have won that division.
So again, I'm still going to say that I have more faith because how sorry, as you mentioned, that division is, that the Cowboys may make the playoffs than necessarily the Browns, because the Browns are in a tough division. And at one point, they're down to the point where you can't help trick play Baker into being successful. He's going to have
dirty pull, sir. Dirty pull.
He's going to have to play from the pocket. So I just want to put that out there as far as me. But, I mean, looking at that game, man, listen, they were up 31. Had put up 31 points in the first half, speaking of the Browns, which is just like, whoa. But even think about that.
How much do the Cowboys have? 10? 14?
But listen, they finished with 30. Listen, they finished with 30. I know it was garbage time.
Hey, it's great when you score 30 and lose, right?
Yeah, it's better than when you score 11.
Hey, 3-1, right?
It's better than when you score.
Would you rather be 3-1 or 1-3?
3-1. 3-1. Easy.
What other game you got?
Listen, the game that I have, are the Giants, the Rams versus the Giants. And I think everyone.
Can I ask you a quick Bears question?
Or Giants versus
before you
Rams.
do it?
Go ahead.
Would Sean McVay have only scored 11 if he was the Bears head coach?
Nah, man, Mitch should still be playing if Sean McVay was the head coach, because Sean McVay would have figured out a way to make it work.
Oh, what's your point with the Giants? I agree.
Listen, the Rams, they only scored 17 points, but Sean McVay, getting to what you just mentioned, Sean McVay has been getting his work done. Sean McVay, with a guy that he did not draft, came there and fixed. Guy gave him too much money. Guy got exposed. Got the guy back into the rhythm that he needs to get into. And I'm talking about Jared Goff or whatever. And they've been playing better than this. They only got 17 points. But the real taker from this game was one that hit. First of all, he blew through a defender that was blocking him, Jalen Ramsey, and then exploded and power drive his former play brother in Golden Tate. And it's not funny, because I remember Golden Tate last season basically being like, yeah, I'm going to see him for basically, so anybody doesn't know, Jalen Ramsey has 2 children with Golden Tate's sister. And basically and I think Jalen may be married now. I know he's moved on to another relationship. But Golden Tate took that as a big brother a certain kind of way. And these guys got to fisticuffs out after the game. And it's just one of those.
Yeah, waiting for him outside the locker.
Jalen Ramsey was waiting for him outside the locker room. Judge, the head coach of the Giants, said that he basically is confirmed that Jalen Ramsey was the first person to throw a punch, and that Golden Tate was just defending himself. But guess
Joe
what?
Judge.
I'll say this much, though.
Wait, was that the judge's ruling?
Right. He was like, clap, clap, clap. I'll say this much. Golden Tate was seeking that smoke. He said he wanted the smoke. Like, oh, yeah, there's going to be some smoke. You can't keep calling a man out, right? You call him like, man, I'm gonna run up on him. Guess what I'm going to do? Guess what I'm going to do? And you see that man, and you think, and let alone you're a receiver and head DB that's bigger than you, right? I mean, so he's hitting people all the time. I know you may be good. We know that Golden Tate is good with his hands from his times in Seattle, if I can remember correctly. But still, you run up on Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey wanted that smoke back, and he gave it to you, Golden. Say, listen, I'm with you. I don't know what that man did to that man's sister as far as I know what he did to her because they got 2 kids.
Oh boy.
I don't know what led to that relationship going away or whatever. And I mean, I hate to just joke about it, but that was interesting. We knew the funny thing was Joe Judge, they kept asking him, did you talk to him before the game about what the type of game is going to be? And Joe Judge was like, we talked to all the players about how the game's going to be. Basically like, we told Golden that this issue was going to happen, right? And it happened. So that was one of the highlights of Sunday when it was a domestic dispute on the football field, to say the least, for me. I know, I'm petty like that.
My next game was the noon game on CBS here locally in Chicago, the Buccaneers and the Chargers. Little preview of Thursday night, and boy, that preview was they about to hand the Bears their ass.
Listen,
Hold on before you get started.
I'm sorry, sir. I apologize.
There's one thing that I need to get off.
Get off.
Chuck Leno, that large human being that can't stop anybody in front of him, especially if they're too fast. This defense is crazy fast, might be the fastest in the league, and Todd Bowles is about to light his ass up. I am going to be so done with Charles Leno, I feel like, after Thursday. But Buccaneers win, close one, 38-31. Tom Brady threw a pick 6, if that gives you any solace. But, man, he looked pretty damn good.
Listen, that pick 6 was early. It was early. After that, it was all Brady. And that's with Mike Evans going out on a bum ankle and coming back and getting a touchdown and also getting more yak. Man, listen. First of all, you talk about Chuck Leno. Charles Leno was the guy. Was Charles Leno the guy that proposed to old girl, and we came to find out on social media she was running around with some hate in her heart for the nation? Was that Charles Leno? I think it was Charles Leno. It wasn't Bobby Mack.
He definitely proposed to the girl.
Yeah, it was Charles Leno.
I don't remember her
It was Charles Leno.
having hate.
Oh, it was hate. Shawty was on there talking about stuff she had no business talking about. She thought she was at the cookout. It seemed like cookout approved.
I wonder if they're still together.
Bobby, yeah, no, they are. He the type, whatever. Bobby Massey not playing as bad is Charles Leno. I want to bring that up to you during the Bears discussion.
And he's more useful because he's an actual good run blocker.
That's what I was just about
Charles
to say.
Leno.
He can definitely get out with Charles Leno with those birthing hips that he has. But listen, you know the thing that I want to say, and I feel sorry for this person. Man, dude, I feel sorry for Tyrod Taylor, right? Because Shuddy was at least going to get about 3 games before he was going to get sent to the bench for Justin.
Or his lung was punctured by that idiot.
I mean, dude, I'd rather just lose than your cousin coming in here puncturing my lung and saying he's the doctor with the switch and the bait and switch. But dude,
And then Justin Herbert, this quarterback everyone thought was going to be a bust, just lights it up.
dude, all this Oregon, you didn't play behind. You was playing in the shotgun. You wasn't playing in no pro style behind the offensive, behind the center. Dude, Justin Herbert has been balling to be a guy that wasn't getting reps like that because he wasn't the starter, and he came from a system that you have to adapt to when you get into the NFL. He's been playing really well. I mean, listen, he stared down Tom Brady and was the only lost by 7 points with less talent on his offense than what Tom Brady has. But Brady, man, looked good. I still feel like Brady made a mistake. And it may have been in New England, it may have been Belichick. I don't feel like Belichick made a mistake, though. But I feel like Brady made a mistake not staying because I don't think it's going to end up, as far as winning a Super Bowl, I don't think it's going to work. Because I'll tell you this, too. We start seeing a little bit, not as much, but a little bit of Drew Brees. And you know what I mean? For 2 years, we've been saying this a couple of years with Drew Brees, he tires out. He's tuckered out right now, right? But
can he be tired after throwing 6 touchdown passes and has to play the Bears 4 days later?
Oh, man, my arm.
Come on, he's got to need a full week, right?
Giselle, can you see him massage this? This is a winning shoulder right here. They're gonna kill the Bears. We'll do that on the next episode. We'll do the preview of Bucks versus Bears. But yeah, this game was definitely a good game, especially when you look at they got a lot of talent on the Buccaneers offense. But Leonard Fournette is out. Chris Evans was hurt during parts of the game. They lost O.J. Howard too in this game.
And he's done for the year, I believe.
Yeah, so you got a lot of guys. Listen, they're lucky they had 3 nice tight ends because this was the first game that Tom Brady actually found Cameron Brate because I think that may have been his first TD or his second TD that he throw like on a slant, and Cameron Brate broke down to catch it low. It was a well-thrown ball that shielding off the defender. But the Bucs defense, the Bucs. I will say this. They are the best team in the NFC South, and I would pick them to win the NFC South, even though we still have to see how well the Saints play when Mike Thomas is back. I mean, they played a losing Lions team, but Drew Brees definitely looked good in the passing game with his receivers. Emmanuel Sanders, Drew Brees looked a lot better with this game, but it was against the Lions. But still, the Bucs look good, but I don't think they look Super Bowl good. Is what I was trying to get to as far as Tom Brady leaving with Bill Belichick and going down there. I don't think they're Super Bowl good. But I'll say this too to help Tom Brady. I don't know if Tom Brady was on that Pats team if they would have played as well as they've been playing under Cam, since Cam has feet. And it's allowed them to play in a different way because you have another runner, and you also have to have a spy on Cam. So that's another guy that's in the defense can't be in coverage. Where with Brady, you knew he's not running. We can all play back because he's not running anywhere basically. But with Cam and Cam being outside of COVID, being seemingly healthy with no issue with his foot or his shoulder, it's giving Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels a whole different way to necessarily go out there and coach their team, and their opponents haven't been used to seeing them coach in that manner.
Another guy the Bears did not want to quarterback their football team.
Yeah, that was a bad one. That was the real – that one and Teddy, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? For you to be like – because think about it, you wouldn't have to trade anything to get Teddy Bridgewater, and you would have stretched that contract where it was really just a 2-year deal. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you said this with Trey Lance. Listen, if the Bears don't get a quarterback this year, and I mean early, then we really know that Ryan Pace is out of his gourd for the most part. You know what I'm saying? If you don't make that move to try to fit, because think about this: if the Bears have a capable quarterback, a nice quarterback, we're not.
How about Justin Herbert on the Bears right now?
It's early though, Ryan.
No, I'm just saying you got that type of production capability. Because Nick Foles isn't like that.
Well, no, this is the thing. I don't know how well Justin Herbert's being coached up. I do think that's part of Justin Herbert, but I also don't know how well he's being coached up. So I'm talking about a guy like Deshaun Watson. Well, I know he wasn't being coached up by Bill O'Brien, and we'll get to that a little bit later, but he still shines through. So again, so the point that I'm trying to make is, if the Bears had a good quarterback, even when we're talking about Chuck Pagano and the defense is pretty good, but it's not as great as it was because we don't necessarily know if he fits this defense, it wouldn't bother us as much because that good quarterback, listen, with Matt Nagy messing up, you know what that good quarterback would be like? Forget that. We're going to do this. Did you see?
Hold on. Do you think we'd be upset if we had Sean McVay, Jared Goff, where we knew Jared Goff ain't nothing, but this coach is making him into something? I think we'd be happy if Nagy did that with Mitch. Like, we knew Mitch was trash, but Nagy could make him at least okay.
I totally agree. But that's what we thought we had in 2018. That's what we thought we had. We thought we had the same situation, but our guy had feet, and he could be elusive. So even when, compared to Jared Goff, when he was getting stifled by the opposing team's defense, Mitch could take off and run and still move the chain. So it was like, man, Mitch is a little bit sweeter than Jared Goff because you didn't look at Jared Goff as necessarily being athletic. You looked at his counterpart in that draft and Carson Wentz as being that athletic guy that can get it with his feet, but you didn't look at the same with Jared Goff. I do think it would be appeasing to us if Matt Nagy could do that. But that goes to the point when you're just asking about Justin Herbert. I don't know if Matt Nagy can necessarily get that out of Justin Herbert. I need somebody – listen, I hate to say that. It's getting to the point. I may need somebody that's Matt Nagy proof, and I kind of like Matt Nagy.
Oh boy,
better than that. But I may need somebody even better than that. These offensive groups
better start losing right now for Trevor Lawrence. Then,
hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey,
Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence going 1-2, so you got to get 1 or 2.
I'll tell you this, and it's gonna sound terrible, and maybe I'm wrong. And again, now I'm going pie in the sky with this. If the second quarter, where the Bears are entering right now, and they get smoked. Like, they lead the second quarter, and they're basically what, like 4-3? 4-3, basically. Dude, you can blow. I don't mean blow up the talent on here, but as far as, because like if you get that quarterback, you get that quarterback in here, go ahead and get that quarterback and let's turn it over. I would say that, but then you're bringing in a new head coach. You're bringing in a new GM. Everything's going to be a lot of turmoil. But these guys are getting to the point, depending on how this season plays out, they haven't proven to us enough that they deserve to really be here. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, and this ball.
Well, why doesn't ownership just say, you know what? Why don't you lose everything? We won't fire you because even you can't mess up drafting Trevor Lawrence, and then we'll go from there.
But you know what? This is the crazy part to what you're saying. It would make the most sense to do it this season. You know why? Even though the fact that Bears season tickets are sold out, so those games, even like, let's just say if we were tanking and we know when it gets cold, people stop showing up and they start to give their tickets to their friends or whatever. But even with that, you don't have to worry about losing concessions and parking as far as the amount of money you would lose because there's nobody in the stands. So if there was a time where it may be beneficial for you to sit there and be like, you know, and again, this is after they suck real bad. We're not talking about right now this year. But if this year started to turn into, you know what, you guys ain't shit. It would really start to turn into that yeah, it makes sense to get Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence or like we talk about Trey Lance. But you need to shoot higher though. You know what I'm saying? You need to shoot high. So even though like me and you've been Trey Lance guys, you got to shoot for those top guys. And if you fall to Trey Lance, you fall to him. And again, it's kind of sad that we're even going there because we're only going into the fifth.
Look at this.
Season.
We're so upset we got derailed from national talk because we hate this Bears situation so much.
Because it's been some stress. Listen, to go from what we did in Chicago from our baseball teams losing in the wild card series to go to this Bears game where at least we was like, okay, new Nick up in here, we're going to see. Look, we're going to score 20. Like, that's at least we was like, we're going to score about 20 points up in here. All right, it's going to be a little different. And it was, dude, it's the third, and we got 3 points on this. It's just, dude, it's disheartening. And it just
what?
Ineptitude.
I'm with you. Why don't you make us all happy with your burning of Bill O'Brien at the stake? That'll be a nice little transition right there.
All right.
Hey, how about Deshaun Watson, the other guy we didn't draft?
So the Vikings beat the Vikings did us all. If you love Deshaun Watson and his gold chains and his brown eyes, the Vikings did you a favor. If you don't know, the Texans have fired their general manager and head coach. Let me say that again. Their general manager. Whatever he did, I don't know, coaching Penn State for a few years was that good. Where I'm like, boy, you a stout. You know what I'm saying? You proficient in player personnel. But their general manager and their head coach, Bill O'Brien, Deshaun Watson has won. He got his contract. Now hopefully he'll get his coach, Romeo Cornell, the former defensive coach for the Patriots, and also it was one-time head coach of the KC Chiefs before Andy Reid got there. Failed head coach, is going to be the interim coach moving forward. You look at the fact that he traded Jadeveon Clowney, he traded DeAndre Hopkins. He got nothing basically back. He brought in Laramie Tunsil and Kenny Stills and gave up the farm for him. And Larry Tunsil hasn't even proven that he is perennially good left tackle. I'm not even asking for great, but perennially good. The thing to me, the Deshaun Watson thing was personal. And in business, man, when you got a guy that's elite like Deshaun Watson, as long as he's not robbing little kids for their candy and smacking up people, you need to let that man go out there and
Not using the switch?
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to let that man, I don't care if, you heard rumors that he told Deshaun Watson, said rumors, allegedly, that he shouldn't have his baby mamas around the facility or whatever. Listen, that's you, Bill O'Brien. Like, now, if that's against your religion and all that, you need to pocket that. When you entered into this business, some of that you have to leave at the door. I'm not telling you to leave your morals as far as right and wrong, but as far as if that man isn't doing anything wrong.
Don't worry, he coached Big Ten football. He has no morals.
Correct. So my thing, the fact that they waited, listen, I don't understand this. How could management, DeAndre Hopkins has been pretty much your best player since Andre Johnson left the team, right? Been your best player through all these lean years, right? You finally got him Deshaun Watson.
Unless you throw in J.J. Watt there.
Yeah, you're right. And J.J. Watt. The 3 years J.J. Watt jumped up through 2.5 when he was clearly healthy, but you're definitely right. I apologize for that. You're correct. All right. But offensive player. Let me go with offensive player there. And you give him a quarterback. They have a connection. Your offensive head coach has no scheme to get these guys open. I'm not just talking about DeAndre Hopkins, who isn't a speed merchant. He's a hands guy. But he doesn't need a lot of space necessarily for him to catch that ball. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have to get that much space. He's going to come down with those balls. Your head coach did not help neither DeAndre Hopkins or your quarterback as far as coming up with the scheme that was beneficial towards them. And then he trades DeAndre Hopkins and brings in David Johnson, all right, and brings in Cooks. And you already know Fuller, who will be a free agent after this season, is his 5th year, has been injury prone. Why? Like, the fact that the ownership allowed him to dismantle this team in the fashion that he did, it makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, like, and I don't know if ownership had a problem with DeAndre Hopkins, but why would you allow a guy who didn't know what he was doing just because I guess he had a good mouth game as far as how he was chatting you up to dismantle your team and leave you with nothing? Dude, they don't even have a first-round pick after – they're going to stink this year with no first-round pick. Just think about that. And they don't have I don't think they have a second either. So they're going to sit here and be a bad team, and they're not going to gain anything as far as draft capital from it because you let your coach be your general manager when your general manager has to look towards the future while your coach is trying to win today. One of the biggest mistakes we know. And, dude, I understand somebody like Jimmy Johnson getting that. I understand Mike Holmgren getting that. I understand even though with Beach that Andy Reid basically kind of has that. Look, I get that guys can sit there and even if they have a general manager in place, it's usually them or definitely Bill Belichick. But, dude, you can't Stan Van Gundy this. And listen, at least Stan Van Gundy had made it to the finals before Detroit let him be the general manager and the head coach. Bill O'Brien ain't done nothing, never did nothing, has one playoff victory, all right? One playoff victory, and you gave him the keys to the whip, and Shorty crashed that bad boy in a ravine. And look, he didn't even call for the tow truck. He just ran off. I found out the next day the car was in a ravine. I'm like, the car's in a ravine? She didn't even call me to tell me the car was in a ravine. He could at least
take that, baby mama.
Right? Just took off right in the middle of the night. Like, dude, Bill O'Brien, boy, listen, dude, man. Listen, also, I hate to say it, it's the height of privilege, all right? It's the height of privilege that you let Bill O'Brien smoke your team like that. Bill O'Brien somewhere with that money that y'all gave him, like, fuck him. is.
No
He is.
way. I think he's
Dude.
about to lose his shit if he doesn't get a call by somebody tomorrow.
Listen, he'll be with the Patriots by next year, if not this year. You know,
Oh, boy.
bring him back. Or listen. If
What do you think's better, if he goes to the Patriots or goes back to college?
he should go back to college. Because he can be the general manager again. That's what he likes to do.
Yeah.
He wants to pick the talent. He can pick out all the young men that don't have baby mamas. I love my baby. I never let her go. He'll be like, listen, you having some sex? Anyway.
Yeah, how about Brandon Cooks? He fell under the Cook spell. He's been traded now, 4 times? Once to the Patriots, once to the Rams, now to the Texans.
You kind of had that in Fuller, even though Fuller can't stay healthy, but you had that in your own guy. You needed a radius guy. You needed a radius guy. If you're going to bank on Fuller being healthy and Kenny Stills being out there, another guy that's fast, you needed a catch radius guy. All right. And you went out there and got a non-catch. You got a speed merchant and Brandon Cooks, like you said, that's been traded to it's like we went a little bit from, you see what the Saints did to the Patriots did to what the Rams did. And again, if anybody, and the Rams paid him, but if they put true value on him, teams wouldn't be moving this kid around like that. I'm not trying to diss him, but I'm just trying to say that he's not someone that he's a deal breaker, because if he was, people wouldn't be letting him go like that.
And on the football field, David Johnson is Ray Rice. He is steadily getting bad after all those carries in college.
He's beaten
on the field.
Okay, make sure you point that out. Don't
I did. I said on the field.
Oh my
partial
goodness.
hearing.
Oh my God. All right, go ahead.
So offended.
Oh
My God.
Yeah, but you're saying he's lost it. And I mean, he's
losing that. The tread is falling off the tire, like you're on the highway and you see that tread.
Tread right there.
Tick, 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 tick.
The crazy thing is, how do you lose the tread when initially it was his hand that was acting up? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of, and I said this to you, I think, about not Khalil Mack, Danny Trevathan. Sometimes, man, if you ever been in a car accident, and when you cross, especially if it wasn't your fault and it was just you going through to an intersection, somebody went through that intersection. Like yesterday, I was driving up Constance, and I was on like 91st at a stop sign. And I was at the stop sign, stopped. I was about to go through. In the corner of my eye, I saw something moving. I hit the brakes. It's some girl flying down the side street, and she was going through stop signs. She wouldn't have been able to stop from hitting me. She basically had to just pull over. She didn't pull over. She just leaned over towards the curb. So, if I would have came out, she was trying to kind of go like that. But she was going too fast to not hit me. She was going to T-bone me, right? And that's basically the epitome of what you're getting as far as somebody that's just, I'm trying to say, as far as if you ever been in an accident, you stop at every stop sign and you stop at intersections, even if there's no light at intersections, because you're fearful of it. You know what I'm saying? And I've been in accidents, and I had people tell me, I had a friend of mine, she was like, for the accident, you used to drive, you start slowing down. And I did, because it wasn't my fault, even though I was going fast. This car had this dude just went straight through the stoplight, and I hit him. And it took me a while before I was able to drive free again. And again, I clearly that's not what's happening with David Johnson, because it's been years since he was injured. But I do wonder if that's had something to do with Danny Trevathan, but it shouldn't, because we really look at Danny Trevathan as being his legs, but he still may have some apprehension from what happened to his arm. That's the only point I want to point out. But back to David Johnson, he's not the player he was when we looked at him as being one of the top 3 all-around running backs, and he's definitely not a player that should have been involved in any trade with DeAndre Hopkins where there wasn't a plentiful draft capital going back to Bill O'Brien and the Texans. The fact that Bill O'Brien and the Texans didn't come up with the fact that he didn't replace the draft picks that he had, or some of them that he had to give up for Larry Tunsil and Kenny Stills, just shows you the ineptitude of Bill O'Brien. And I'm going to whip that Bill O'Brien ass as long as I can, because he's wasting. Yeah,
it's too bad it's coming to an end.
It is, but we're going to see it, because Deshaun Watson's career isn't going to be what it should be, because he's getting his ass beat. I mean, we even see with that run he had for 8 yards, even though he threw 3 dudes off, 3 defensive linemen off of him, and cut it up to the sideline, and he's getting his ass beat. He already blew his ACL out, and I think he blew out in college too, and in the pros, or did he just blow out in the pros?
It's at least one in
That's what I'm saying.
college, one
Yeah,
in the
that's what I'm
pros.
saying.
I think he's had 3 ACLs though, to be
And
completely honest.
So you wasted. He's wasted this talent, and I feel like when we look towards the lean years of Deshaun Watson, we can look back to these years with Bill O'Brien letting this kid get his ass beat because he had no system to protect him from playing sandlot Ben Roethlisberger football with a slim physique, even though that boy is tough as nails.
Well, you know what that makes Bill O'Brien? He's officially the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, he's the mistletoe.
Ooh, and you love to kiss that.
No, I don't. Yeah. So we're going to try to give you
Kiss him goodbye.
our Monday morning quarterbacks and breakdowns of a few games moving forward. Hopefully you enjoyed this. You got anything to say before we get out of here?
It'll be very interesting to hear our breakdowns. You better not miss Bears Buccaneers on that Davis show.
All right. So definitely we're going to hit you up. You want to drop something on Wednesday to preview that game. Also bring other sports topic, maybe something outside of sports since it's only getting down to football. Here in Chicago, there's still the MLB going on. There's still the finals, even though, I know Jimmy scored 40 with a triple-double, but that's LeBron's title. They're going to win it. And with baseball, we still hurting here in the city, man. It's going to take me a few more days before I can just watch baseball without thinking about our squads here in Chicago getting tossed out like with the baby in the bathwater. But
hey, at least your future is bright. I don't know what's going on there.
If I had some shades right here, I would that I needed to wear shades. But yeah, we're going to give it to you. And also, we're going to be back with the Flipping Friends this weekend. We know it's been a couple of weeks. So we're going to hit you with some of those salacious topics and a lot of levity. And, keep supporting us. And we hopefully keep bringing you a little bit of insight and a little bit of fun on that Davis show and also on Flipping Friends. And always stay safe in this environment because if everybody at the White House can get it, you can get it.